So I've been wanting to talk more about comics on this channel, and with the 2019 Transformers series having come to an end this May, I thought it would be a good time to take a look back at the series and what made it special. Now, just a note, this video will not be covering material from after Transformers issue 41, because even though the last issue of the mainline series is out, the epilogue issue, Fate of Cybertron, hasn't come out yet. I will be making a separate video on how I feel about the finale. But now that we've got all that out of the way, let's get down to business. It began in 2018, when the old IDW Transformers universe was announced to be ending, and that it would be replaced with a new, rebooted line of books. But rather than being set after the war like the old stories, this new series would look back to the beginning of the war on Cybertron. At the time, I wasn't sure how to feel about this. The old universe had been going since 2005, and I had been following it since about 2014. I was really invested in that world and its characters, but they at least had the decency to end it in a satisfying way, wrapping up most of the remaining loose ends in the last 8 months of the books, and in the event series Unicron. Then, with the old series put to rest, they released the new Transformers issue 1 in March 2019. It had, in my opinion, a bit of a rocky start. The art was mediocre, the writing was stiff, and the new 2-issue-a-month release schedule meant I was paying more money for a product I considered subpar. But I stuck with it, hoping it would get better. And you know what? It did. By issue 17 or so, I found myself really looking forward to reading the book each month. By this time, they had also gone back to a more manageable 1-issue-a-month release schedule, so that made things a bit easier on the art and writing team, but that's just the price point and the art. What's the story of Transformers 2019? It starts on Cybertron, before the beginning of the Great War. However, it does something strange with this idea. It has a new Great War called the War of the Threefold Spark, led by a villain called, and bear with me as I try to pronounce this name, Exaron. This is a questionable writing decision in my opinion. After all, isn't the point of having a story set before the Great War to have Cybertron having been at peace for the last few million years? And I know the War of the Threefold Spark ended a long time ago by the start of the book, and it's used as a reason for the restrictive government that creates the Decepticons, but it just seems needless somehow. Like the old comics Continuity didn't need that. Maybe it's to make the Decepticons seem more sympathetic? But after that, they're written pretty much like one-dimensional villains, so what's the point? It's not necessarily bad writing, I'm just not quite sure it works. The story is still pretty enjoyable. I just feel they were a little too afraid to take risks. They do a lot differently in this run. There's stuff that I really like and wish they had more time to expand on, like Bumblebee being disillusioned with the world after the loss of someone dear to him. I don't want to spoil who, but it's a pretty good bit of writing. It just feels like they left a lot of stuff on the table, and I wasn't really satisfied with everything they did. But at any rate, to summarize greatly, the government is way too restrictive, or is felt to be by some, so the Decepticons are formed as a means to create change. But they quickly go from a political party to a terrorist organization, working to overthrow the government and place themselves in power over everyone else. And they don't care who or what they have to destroy to get what they want. Opposing them, however, are the heroic Autobots, a fraction of the government who also wants change, but through orderly reform. The situation quickly grows dire, with the war threatening to cause irreparable damage to Cybertron. Things are then made worse by the return of an old enemy, Exaron. So that's where the comics are now, with Exaron having made his return, and working to achieve his final victory over Cybertron. Now, I should mention that the reason the comics are coming to an end is that IDW is about to lose the license. It's not yet clear who will be making new Transformers books in their place, but I can't help but feel that Brian Ruckley has had to accelerate his story to finish it before the series reaches its premature end. Which is sad, because while I feel that the story of Transformers 2019 had some wasted potential and a bit of a bloated plot, I still think it had the potential to continue growing into something amazing over the next few years. I mean, the 2005 Transformers continuity only really started to get consistently great, in my opinion, in 2011. Just imagine if this current universe had had the time to be developed like that. Actually, That's kind of a huge problem with comics in general these days. They reboot, retool, and relaunch series so often that there's never any time to let them turn into something great. And in the rare occurrence that they start out fantastic, they all too often get canned after 12 issues, to be rebooted, retooled, and relaunched all over again. So what do I think of Transformers 2019 overall? Well, it had its problems, but I'm sad it's ending, and too soon in my opinion. We'll probably never get another Transformers universe as intricate and well fleshed out and as long-lived as the 2005 series ever again. Goodbye TF 2019, we hardly knew ye. And finally, I'd like to take the time to thank all of the people who worked on this book. I know y'all did your best, and I think y'all succeeded in making something truly special. Thank you. Hey, thanks for watching the video! If you enjoyed it, please consider pressing the like and subscribe buttons, and be sure to check out my channel for more reviews, as well as speed paints and art creation, tips and tricks videos. And if you really love what I do here, maybe consider supporting me on Patreon. That's all for now.